It's my Feel Good Breakfast Show.
The Vital Foundation is recognizing organizations which help to fight the abuse of women and children in our communities. Now, one such organization is the South African Faith and Family Institute. Their aim is to see women, men and children live their full potential in a society free from gender-based violence and where faith and justice are honored. This morning we're talking to the director of that institute, Elizabeth Peterson. Good morning, Elizabeth. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very well.
It's so good to see you. You're looking absolutely fantastic today.
Thank you, and you.
I'm so happy that you're here today. You're doing such good work. Tell us more about your organization and what you're doing to help fight the scourge of abuse in our communities.
SAFI really exists to address the faith dimensions of gender-based violence in intimate relationships and in our communities. And our target is very specifically religious leaders, and it's across all different faiths. And the reason why we target religious leaders in particular is we really believe that violence against women, abuse and oppression in intimate relationships has a particular connection with the way that we believe about ourselves. And, across, the work that we've been doing in South Africa around gender-based violence, we have not yet really placed particular focus on religion, religious leaders and their particular role. And so in essence, that is what SAFI is doing.
Wow. So why particularly engage them? Why bring them in? What role do they play in the community?
Religious leaders, shape and really inform the theological understanding of people, what they believe about themselves, how they see themselves in relation to God, in relation to themselves in intimate relationships. So in South Africa, we know that faith and violence have traditionally been used to oppress the majority of the population, but also in particular women in intimate relationships and just how women are perceived. But at the same time, we know that faith is a strong resource, and is a place where people go to when they really struggle, when we reach the darkest places in our lives, and we are suffering. Our faith becomes that incredible resource to us. And so what SAFI is saying is, we have actually called everybody to account for the violence against women. We've called out the police, the magistrates, the justice system, social workers, everybody. But we haven't yet engaged religious leaders. And on one hand, call them to account for what they are preaching and teaching. But on another level, to actually say to them how critical they are in the lives of both victim survivors, perpetrators, and the children who may be part of that family whose faith is being formed, who witnesses the abuse, and also witnesses and experience how scriptures and teachings are used by perpetrators to justify the abusive behavior. And then also how victims who are people of faith, how they struggle, with faith as a resource, but yet, what does God think? What does God expect of me? If my Holy Scripture is saying a certain thing, that I'm supposed to submit, my husband is the head of the home, how does that land with me when I'm in an intimate relationship that's abusive? Now, we cannot ask magistrates to contextualize Holy Scriptures. We cannot ask social workers to do that, the police. The only people that can actually do that is our religious leaders. And it is for that reason that SAFI is very specific. We're saying, you are so critical when you contextualize that scripture, when you demystify a teaching that is being misinterpreted but used as a justification, light comes. Then perpetrators can go and actually get the kind of help that they need. Women can go and get the kind of help that they need, but they would know that their faith is there to support them, to hold them accountable, to really move them to a place of hope and life, and where they can reach their full potential.
I also just want to ask you lastly, Elizabeth, about the program Ubuntu in Our Home that you are doing in partnership with the Desmond and Leah Legacy Foundation as well. Quickly tell us what your partnership is there.
Yeah, I think that the Tutu family has been incredible, you know, through the Archbishop and Malia, in the way that they've reminded us as a people of this extraordinary resource that we have called Ubuntu.
Yes.
You know, and so for Safi, what we are really saying, the way we work around addressing this issue is around reclaiming who we are.
Yeah.
And who we are is a people of Ubuntu
Yeah.
that knows that we are diminished. I am diminished when I abuse my son or my daughter or somebody else, right? But also when I heal and when I celebrate whatever that's wonderful, it's not just me.
Yeah.
We are connected.
Yes.
And so this incredible partnership with the Legacy Foundation for Safi is about, as we address this issue of gender-based violence with religious leaders and faith communities, we are saying we are not against, we don't want to put our energies in trying to be against something. We are trying to recreate what it would feel like, what it would be like if we had Ubuntu in our intimate relationships.
absolutely.
What our homes would feel like when there's Ubuntu in intimate relationships.
Elizabeth, I must say this is something that I could talk to you about all day. It is one of those topics that I think is so important that we tackle and we continue to keep talking about, and we never stop talking about, we never stop addressing. So thank you for being here. I do hope that we'll get you in again at a later stage to talk more about this, but it was very wonderful having you here today.
Thank you very much.
Wow. Now, Safi believes that religion plays an integral part in both the continuation and the eradication of violence against women, but it's not the only factor. Remember that you can also nominate any organization that's helping to fight abuse of women and children in your community by visiting www.vitalfoundation.co.za.
Make abuse a thing of the past. Nominate an organization that fights abuse so they can win 35,000 Rand from the Vital Awards.